Mortgage Campus in Berea, Ohio. This is Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet. Now live in Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland.
Looked like a video game. Those guys looked like they were straight out of Madden. They were clicking, all three levels. When they were going deep ball, short, medium, they were on point. And we're going to need them to be like that. Maybe not quite as dominant as today, but they're going to have to be on the same page throughout this stretch.
Flacco from under center from the 25, play fake to Hunt and a roll out to the left. Flacco eyes downfield, deep shot, left sideline, wants Cooper, he has it, running free at the 20, at the 10, touchdown! Amari Cooper is in the end zone with a 75-yard touchdown. Amari Cooper did it again.
Yeah, a couple takeaways. Za'Darius getting 2 sacks, which I thought was outstanding. Harassing the quarterback. I thought our defense was really good. Got
to get to the 47. Keenum under pressure. Now flushed out to the right. Chased by Wright. Spins back to the left. And he goes down. Sacked at the 25-yard line. Za'Darius Smith finally gets one.
Yeah, because, the DBs, most of the times they're smaller than I am. And I feel like, most quarterbacks have played with smaller body receivers. And so I have to remind them sometimes because, we have to communicate, especially given the circumstances, him coming in so late. I just remind them, just sometimes you could just throw it up. Like, these guys are small compared to me. I could just use my body to shield them off and go up and make a play.
Flacco, gun. Waiting for it, 3 on the play clock, pumps the leg, takes the snap. Flacco firing into the end zone. Cooper, touchdown! Amari Cooper does it again!
Are you kidding me? Joe Flacco, 300-plus, 3 touchdowns on the day. Amari Cooper now over 200 yards, his 2nd touchdown on the day, his 8th catch. What a clinic being put on by the Cleveland Browns.
Here are your hosts, Bo Bishop and Nathan Zegura.
Good afternoon and welcome in to a Victory Monday edition of Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet, a sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. I hope everybody had a great Christmas yesterday for those who celebrate it, because your Browns delivered an early present down there in Houston, 36-22, beating the Houston Texans to get their 10th win on the season. Your 10-5 Cleveland Browns. Gibbe. This team is so fun, but before we get into all that, how was your day yesterday? How was the Christmas? How did it all go down? I know you're doing a lot of hosting and whatnot.
It was not a day off. It was definitely not a day of rest.
No.
I think I left here at about 11:15 Sunday night after we got done unloading everything, and then already filling out plans for the week so we could hit the ground running this morning. It was good, man. Family had a great time. Maybe a little overserved by a number of people. I kept it under control and was responsible, which usually doesn't happen, but I could see the wheels coming off, and I knew I needed to be productive today.
Yeah, we certainly did. There's a lot of joy we've got to spread to the people.
There's a lot to do, and it's a big, quick turnaround today. Big, quick. I don't even know what that means. I've been running in 40 different directions here this morning.
So how about us, Gibbe? How about us getting to be a part of history down there? And we heard a lot of it in the open. Amari Cooper setting a new Cleveland Browns franchise record with 265 yards receiving. Amari Cooper setting a new career high. Amari Cooper also with the most receiving yards in a game this season. Hi, this is Nathan Zegura, and you're listening to 850 ESPN Cleveland. I am Nathan Zegura, and you are listening to 850 ESPN Cleveland. So it's true. But what is also true, Amari Cooper, as I mentioned, 265 yards, breaking an over decade-long record that was set by Josh Gordon back in 2013 when he had 261 yards against the Jags, 265 for Amari. You see the numbers there, tied his career high with 11 catches, 265 yards. That's a career high, 24.1 yards per catch. Unbelievable. It says Long there, too. Long with 75, or maybe that should be touchdowns there. Touchdowns, he did have 2 of them on the game. Just an incredible performance. He joins Terrell Owens as the only 2 receivers to ever have a 200-yard receiving game with 3 different teams. That's incredible. So I guess I said Victory Monday at the beginning. It's Tuesday.
hold on. I did it.
On-air light would be good for you,
dude,
Gibbe.
We're missing
I
Uno.
know.
We're missing Ocho. We're missing Brandon from the video department. Everybody went down
Uno's
over the
down.
weekend.
Griff is down. It's
Yellowstone's here with me, like
Yellowstone,
keeping things.
I guess it is a
somewhat on
Victory
track.
Tuesday. I'm totally thrown off because of yesterday being Christmas.
Yeah,
It's like I'm in
I know.
Billy Madison. What day is it? October? I don't know. But what I do know is that this Browns team, unbelievable. Every week, this team is so fun. Now, this one was a laugher at one point, folks. It was 36-7. This was a laugher. Browns were in complete control at that moment. Now, they take all the starters out. The second-team defense gives up a touchdown. Onside kick recovered. Touchdown. So that's how we got to 36-22. And the starters had to come back in. And the only silver lining in that is that got Amari one more catch for 13 yards, which put him from 252 to 265 and got him the Cleveland Browns single-game record. You know, this team is doing historic things on the defensive side of the ball. You got to some historic things on the offensive side of the ball. Joe Flacco in this game throwing for 368 yards, becoming only the second quarterback in Browns history, joining Josh McCown to throw for more than 300 yards in 3 straight games. He set the record now for the most passing yards and passing touchdowns in Browns history for a quarterback in their first 4 games with the franchise. I mean, it's unbelievable what he did. Zadarius Smith, dominant. That's what we all expected all season, and he really has been dominant. He just hasn't gotten the sacks. Well, he got 2 of them in this game and a tip pass that led to Deron Harmon's interception. But as seems to be the case with the Cleveland Browns, and I'm not trying to get a little grinchy here, these victories are coming with a price. They are coming with the price of injury. And every single week, it feels like the Browns are adding to that list. And in this one, it was really due to a failure on special teams. You give up, you go 14-0, kickoff, give up a big return, in fact, as big as can be, a touchdown to Dameon Pierce, and you get Dustin Hopkins hurt on that play. Kevin Stefanski said he is week to week. He will not play on Thursday. Riley Patterson will be the Browns kicker on Thursday in his 3rd NFL season out of Memphis. He was signed by the Vikings in 2021. 37 career games with the Lions and the Jaguars, 58 of 66 on field goals, 87 of 90 on PATs. This season, he appeared in 13 games with the Lions, making 15 of his 17 field goal attempts. Now, so Dustin Hopkins, he gets hurt. We know D-Hop, he's only 3 points away now, or 4 points away now from setting a new record for the Browns of most points in a season, trailing Jim Brown. And so you don't know if he'll get a chance to do that. He's been the best kicker in the NFL, quite frankly. He's a first-team All-Pro in my book and a Pro Bowler. But then Corey Bojorquez had to handle kickoffs. Well, Corey Bojorquez got hurt trying to hit these little squib kicks. And so we don't know his status for Thursday. So the team has signed punter Matt Hack to the practice squad. He's in his 7th NFL season out of Arizona State. Originally started with the Dolphins as an undrafted free agent in 2017. He's appeared in 98 games with the Dolphins, Bills, Colts. He has booted 429 career punts for 4.5 average, 160 inside the 20. So those guys, Dustin Hopkins, Corey Bojorquez, have been so important to what the Browns have done. Bojorquez has been a weapon flipping the field, and then D-Hop has been, as I said, the best kicker in the National Football League. Both hurt, one on the kick return for a touchdown, the second trying to then do the kickoffs, which he normally would not do. So it's rough. It was a tough day for Bubba Ventrone's unit. He's going to get it right. I have all the confidence in the world. The Browns have been one of the best coverage teams in the league so far this year, one of the best special teams units, period, in the NFL, and I expect that will be the norm. Now, you saw something on an onside kick that you didn't recover, and the good news is all these things happened in a win. And so you can learn from them and make sure that in situations where it could be critical, the Browns aren't going to allow an onside kick to be recovered. They are not going to allow a kick to be returned for a touchdown. But this was such a good performance by the Browns. I mean, at one point I said it was 36-7, 6 minutes to go, I believe, in the fourth quarter. And the Browns had outgained the Texans at that point 406-106. They were spectacular. The Browns' starting defense didn't allow a point in this game. Not 1 point. 0. 7 on a kick return touchdown, and then 15 on 2 touchdown drives back-to-back against the backups. Starters did not allow a single point. In fact, the starters played so well, Case Keenum got sent to the pine. Case Keenum had 11 completions for 62 yards. 11 completions for 62 yards. He was averaging 3 yards an attempt through the air. That is unbelievable defense. Devin Singletary couldn't get going. The Browns got them off the field repeatedly. In fact, when the starters came out, I think they'd only allowed 1 third down conversion in the game, held them to 3.7 yards per play, 3.4 yards per pass attempt. I mean, this defense, and you talk about Zadarius Smith, 2 sacks in this one, really had 3, had 1 wiped out on a penalty, had a hit that led directly to an interception. He was playing like the Pro Bowl Zadarius Smith. Myles Garrett, dominant as always. Still no sacks. He was right there. A couple tackles for a loss, though. JOK, back-to-back weeks now with an interception. The guy's unreal. D'Anthony Bell forces a fumble in that role. 2 passes defensed as well and a quarterback hit on a blitz. MJ with a pass breakup. Had a couple penalties. We're going to get those cleaned up. Duron Harmon, the next in a long line of guys who just come to this football team off the street and make plays. And I actually talked with Duron Harmon today, an interview you will hear on the Kevin Stefanski Show tomorrow night, right? Special edition of the Kevin Stefanski Show on a Wednesday, Gibbe, on a First Friday. Tomorrow night, the Kevin Stefanski Show, hear from Duron Harmon. He told me it was between the Niners and the Browns. The Niners and the Browns both called him, and he decided to come to the Cleveland Browns. He's like, this is where I thought I had the best opportunity, where I'd fit the best. He knew some of the people here, obviously, from his time in New England, and so he came. And he gets an interception with a little assist certainly there from Zadarius Smith. Alex Wright stepping up again. Another sack. Almost an interception on a zone dog where he dropped into coverage. Shelby Harris had a great game. I mean, this defense, you can't say enough good things about this defense. They played so well, and you love to see it. You got an opportunity now against a team that struggles on offense, against all teams other than the Washington Commanders, the Jets, who had a wild win in their own right, a Greg Zuerlein walk-off 55-yarder, but we'll meet the Jets tomorrow. But, again, on the offense, Flacco, 27 of 42, 368, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. One of those picks was at the end of the first half because we didn't have a kicker, and so he just threw it into the end zone. Amari, 11 for 265 and 2. Chiefs, 6 for 44 and 1. And then everybody else, only a couple of catches, but they were big ones. Cedric Tillman, 2 catches, 13 yards, both first downs. Elijah Moore, big catch on a third down that set up the Chiefs' touchdown. Jordan Akins, 2 catches for 18 yards. So everybody kind of did their part, did what they had to do. And it all started off, Pierre Strong, opening kickoff, 36 yards. Boom, Flacco, 53 yards, down to Amari Cooper. Touchdown, Jerome Ford. This team just had it going. And Joe Flacco, can you say enough about him and what he's done for this football team? You talk about ridiculous throws. The throw on Chiefs touchdown, middle of the field open, cover 2 quarters beater, where you get that kind of stick and go. That throw was unreal, and he's throwing it flat-footed, getting hit. The throw to Amari Cooper on the sideline on 4th and 8, which would ultimately lead to a touchdown on that drive. Folks, it was surreal live. I think I just laughed on the broadcast. I'm not sure I offered any analysis. I was just like, this is completely absurd what we're witnessing.
I believe. Where's my notes? My notes for the video department on GoPro. In the third quarter, Andrew, that was art. 2 plays later, that's beautiful. That came directly from you. Like, that was it.
The art was talking about the Amari Cooper route on the third down where he faked the guy out that he was blocking. That was unbelievable.
They just kept making plays in the second half.
Well, we went on in the second half, and this 4th down conversion, again, he's being hit. He is falling forward to the ground. Amari's double-teamed, by the way, when you watch it back on tape. He's getting hit almost from the front as he's falling and throws to the sideline, throws an out or a comeback. He actually throws Amari Cooper open in a window as big as the football. Otherwise, that could have been a pick 6. Easy. And instead, it's a completion. We end up getting a touchdown to end that drive. I think it was the touchdown to Amari at the end of that one. The Browns in the third quarter got the ball with 12 minutes and 14 seconds to go in the third quarter. They went on an 18-play, 89-yard drive that took 9 minutes and 39 seconds of possession off the clock for a touchdown. Then we got the ball back on the interception by Duron Harmon. We go 10 plays, 50 yards for a touchdown that took 4 minutes and 6 seconds off, and that was basically the ball game. Now, we know that the Cleveland Browns did not have as much success once they took the starters out, but they were able to get them back in there and get it done. But you talk about an 18-play drive on the road. You have no kicker. So you're going for it on fourth down. And Flacco makes an even more ridiculous throw than we've seen. And we've seen him make some ridiculous ones. That fourth down throw, I'm telling you folks, that throw, there's no doubt in my mind that had a lower probability of being a catch than the ball against the Bears that was in the middle of three guys. It was absurd. It was absurd. I talked to Joe Flacco after the game about it. All he could do was laugh. He goes, yeah, that was pretty ridiculous. This team, it's fun, right? It's fun, Cleveland. We're having a great time with it. 10-5 and an opportunity to clinch at home. We're 7-1 at home. We're going to be in the all whites. They want a white out. You're seeing players call for it. So dress in your Cleveland whites if you got them. We've got a lot of white gear. Get a white hoodie on there. Be warm. White jacket. Maybe a white starter. Folks at Homage have a beautiful cream. White, that counts for a white out.
That counts. I was going to say the cream counts.
I'm wearing it. That's what I'm going to wear. I'm going to wear the cream. Counts.
I guess I'll be in that too then.
Yeah. Listen, we need everybody there early. Everybody there early. Pace yourselves. Pace yourselves. Make sure you work in some waters as you're getting ready in the Muni lot for this primetime game, Thursday night football, an opportunity for the Browns to clinch the playoffs. Now, last night, the Niners were a little bit of a Grinch, but I completely blame my father. And I told him as much. Last week, there was a big controversy going on in our group chat. A lot of people in the Bay Area, I was telling Bo about this, talking about how Brock Purdy is Joe Montana. And I'm like, we got to stop this. We got to stop this right now. This guy hasn't even been to a Super Bowl, let alone won 4, like the great Joe Montana. It's Joe Montana and Tom Brady, Peyton Manning. They're on the Mount Rushmore. Brock Purdy doesn't deserve to be in that sentence yet. And I believe wholeheartedly that kind of blasphemy led to the type of performance we saw last night. 4 interceptions and the Niners losing to the Ravens, which kind of killed a little bit of our joy because I don't know about you.
It was the conversation around the table during that pathetic Eagles-Giants game.
Well, we were talking about the number 1 seed. It feels
what's
okay.
happening here? Like they go 1-2, we go 2-0.
Well, the Chiefs lose, and then they throw up the graphic. The only 3 teams that could possibly be the 1 seed in the AFC are the Ravens, Dolphins, and us. And you're like, all right, Niners beat Ravens.
Yeah.
Dolphins just need to lose 1 of 2. Okay. Yep. And they have a tough schedule. The Ravens have the Dolphins.
Yeah.
They played each other at the end.
And then the Dolphins have to play Buffalo. I don't think anybody wants to play Buffalo.
It was so doable. Now it would require the Steelers, who just did play spoiler and beat the Bengals, but it would require the Steelers to beat the Ravens. And about that, I am not optimistic. I'm not optimistic.
No.
But so what? Get in the dance, and right now, the way that it's shaking out is that it's likely to be the Browns and whoever wins the AFC South. Well, you've beaten everybody in the AFC South. In fact, you've beaten everybody in the AFC South in 2020. You beat everybody in the AFC South again this year. Kevin Stefanski is 10-0 against the AFC South. Never lost.
Never
lost. He dominates the AFC South.
Right now, okay, the Ravens are the Ravens, but any of the wild cards could take out everybody else.
Chiefs are
a mess.
Getting a little temper tantrumy up there.
Perfect.
Yeah, they don't look great. Dolphins
maybe
are explosive.
Taylor can come up with a song for that.
They're getting banged up a little bit. My kids were actually rooting for the Chiefs because of Travis and thus Taylor.
What is going on in your house? Can you get a grip on things in there? What are we doing here?
No, they root for the Browns. They're Browns fans first and foremost.
All right.
Yeah. But they
I don't need them zapping you of zest. I can do that on my own. I don't need their help.
Yeah, no, there's nobody, only you're my zapper of zest.
For the most part, it's been good.
Yeah, it's been great. We had a great run as an alliance in LA.
Saturday night.
Oh man, that was a treat. Had a real nice treat there on Saturday at a fine establishment down in Houston. The butter cake was running wild on people.
Really would have liked a heads up that the butter cake could have been split into like 3 or 4 slices as opposed to a whole butter cake.
And I can't believe the guy told you as he put it down, hey, you're about to eat a 2,000-calorie dessert.
I was like, no, I'm not,
that didn't
actually.
Even count.
I'm going to eat like a piece of this, and I don't know what's going to happen with the rest of it.
By the way, that didn't even count the a la mode on top of it. That was just the cake.
could have explained why I felt the way I did on Sunday morning.
Yeah.
Although,
but it was
eating half a cow also will do
worth
that
it. Yeah, you and I went turf and turf.
We did.
We split up a little some lamb chops and a little fillet, a bone-in fillet. It was delightful, real treat. That was a great time. What a successful road trip. You have that. We have a great Saturday night. We're all responsible in bed by 11.
Yeah.
Game Sunday is a pure joy. Got a little tense for a second there.
I would
but
just
pretty much pure joy.
Okay, so I got to do my timing right. It's 2:45 local time in Houston.
3:45 here. Yep.
Yeah.
And
there is
6 minutes.
6 minutes.
That's right. 6 minutes.
35 minutes later, we finally wrap up. We need to stop doing this. I know you were mentioning it. I'm trying to save audio and get stuff ready here for the rest of the show and do a bunch of things.
We're
I know
playing
you mentioned
long
it.
games.
I need this to.
We play long games. We're playing.
I mean, the first quarter.
Hey, I once heard a great man say, "Playing the long game."
He's laughing.
I heard it.
He's laughing.
Everybody heard it. Everybody heard it. Oh, fantastic. All right. Vivid Seats. Those are the hot topics of the day presented by Vivid Seats. Head to Vivid Seats to purchase the brand new Premium Terrace Experience. Your ticket comes with a pregame field pass, parking, all-inclusive food and beverage, and a $50 Brown Shop gift card. Man, sounds great. Visit VividSeats.com or download the app today. Vivid Seats is an official fan experience partner of the Cleveland Browns. All right, when we come back, we're going to hear from the head coach.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to hear from Kevin Stefanski. He's going to give you all the updates there. We told you at the top about D-Hop. DTR to IR, by the way, after he got twisted nasty, and we saw him after the game not moving well, got twisted up by one of the Texans. He's on IR now with the hip. P.J. Walker back to the active roster, getting signed up off of the practice squad today. He will back up Joe Flacco, and I would expect the Browns probably will bring in another quarterback here to the practice squad. So we got Kevin Stefanski coming up there. Then we'll take a look at the AFC North and the AFC playoff picture, which got a little bit more clarity over the weekend. Coming up, second hour of the program. You know what happens at 2 o'clock. The half. That's right, the Joe Thomas half hour. That's going to be pure joy. And then we are going to hear from the man himself, Joe Flacco, 2:40 coming your way. That's the lineup. Cleveland Browns Daily, pure joy on a Victory Tuesday, brought to you by Bally Bet.
They break the huddle with Tillman and Cooper to the right. Jerome Ford checks back in. Njoku and Elijah Moore to the left. Right clock set Ford. Now direct snap to Ford. Running right. Jerome Ford tries to get to the pylon. He's in! Touchdown! Touchdown Browns on the opening drive.
Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet, now live in Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland.
You guys ready?
Yep.
You're up.
Welcome back to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet, a sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns, now live in Ohio. Head into the Browns' regular season home finale against the Jets. Be sure to have the most up-to-date version of the Browns app downloaded so you are able to participate in the halftime whiteout light show presented by Dude Wipes. To the podium we go. Here's your head coach, Kevin Stefanski.
Coach Sala, well, I know a bunch of
You guys are done.
They have very good players, really good schemes, so you got to go to get your homework done during a short week. You don't have the same amount of practices. You don't have the same amount of walkthroughs, meetings, et cetera. So you really have to do a good job as coaches and as players of preparing for Thursday night. And then, as you know, getting your bodies ready for Thursday night is another challenge for both sides. But offensively, score a bunch of points last week versus Washington, possessed the football for a long time, and I thought played really well. Trevor Siemian's a guy that I know. We'll see how that plays out over the course of this week, but Trevor's a guy that has played and won in this league. Zach Wilson's extremely athletic, can make all those throws. So we'll see how that plays out, but really good players. I think Garrett Wilson's as good as there is in the NFL. Really, he's a special player. So we'll have our hands full when we're facing their offense. Defensively, again, Coach Sala, Coach Olbrich, they do a great job. It's a scheme that is similar to ours. There's enough difference, in some of the things that they do versus what we do on defense. But really good players, great players in the back end, great players up front, linebackers that can run. And then special teams, they're ranked very high, good specialists, sound schemes. So we'll have to really be about our business on Thursday. On the injury front, Dustin Hopkins is week to week with his injury. He will not play this week. And then Dorian Thompson-Robinson will go on IR with a hip injury, unfortunately, that he suffered in that last ball game. So disappointed for both those guys, but we'll obviously continue to get the guys ready. And with that, I'll take any questions. It was when he got bent up a little bit there during the game.
What about Bahar test?
We'll see. Not sure yet.
And who would be your holder if you can't do it?
Working through it. It would be the punter. Yeah.
Did Corey get hurt on the kickoffs?
Yes.
Just because it's unusual?
Exactly. Yeah.
What do you think it's going to be like Thursday night at that stadium? I mean, you talk about it every week, but
Electric.
chance to win the play.
Electric. Yeah, I can't wait. Our fans have been incredible all season long. I feel like I say that over and over, but I mean it. I can't wait to get down there. Our team can't wait to get down there. Just need them to behave themselves for most of the day so that they're able to be with us in the fourth quarter.
Kevin, what about Riley and the initial conversations with him then, I guess?
Yeah, came in, did a nice job in his workout. Obviously has production in this league and in this season, so a guy we're comfortable with.
How much is it? He kicked for the Jaguars all last year, kicked in the playoffs. How important is that he has postseason experience?
Yeah, I think just the experience period is important when it comes to a kicker in this situation. But a guy that I think had a good workout, has good tape, believe in him.
He's down at the stadium today?
Correct. Yes.
Did the amount of injuries affect your kick coverage team last week that allowed that long return?
No, I don't think that's fair to say. I think we need to be better, and we will be.
You guys talked about that Jets game last year and watching that back and stuff. I mean, just how crazy is it to look at where you guys are now and Joe is in this building, for example, and looking back to that game
I think, as you know, Ashley, these you can't predict this league. That's why everybody watches, and things happen throughout the courses of seasons and that type of thing, and faces change and different people come in. So in a lot of ways, it's similar teams schematically, and in a lot of ways, it's different.
You've had success taking deep shots, with this offense, but it just feels like with Joe, you guys have connected on more of those opportunities. Why do you think that is, and just what type of a you know, a shot in the arm has that long game with Joe infused in the arm?
Yeah, I think it's always dependent on the scheme that you're playing oftentimes. And then with shots, there's games, you go a bunch of games in a row, you hit all of them. You go a bunch of the games in a row, you can't hit a shot. Those come and go as well.
Like Joe, do you just have to live with some of those interceptions, or are you verbalizing to him that he needs to cut down on them?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily call him a gunslinger, Mary Kay. The interceptions themselves, I mean, the deep shot to Marquise was a shot. You know, we encouraged him if you got a similar look. I don't think maybe the ball hung up more than he wanted it to. And then the one at the end of the half, you know, in a normal situation, you're kicking a field goal and those don't happen. So I appreciate that he's just giving our guys a chance in that situation.
Just not like what you guys saw to D'Anthony Bell to kick that last one?
Yeah, I didn't want to put those guys in a tough spot, even where we were. I know it's a shorter field goal, but the operation, you could get it blocked. I just didn't feel like that was the right thing to do.
Kevin, as I recall, Dustin had a hamstring issue when he was out in LA. Is this the same hamstring?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Worse or better that it's the plant leg?
Probably better, yeah.
Orquez is kicking like the left quad. That's not good.
We'll see.
Will your emerging punters and kickers get a little work this week in practice just in case?
Yeah, we feel good about that. You know, obviously, we feel good about our plan. We know, you know, we'll have we'll have a kicker and a punter that we feel good about. We know that.
Kevin, has the seamlessness with which Joe has stepped in, has that even exceeded your expectations for what he would be able to do so early on, taking over for you?
Yeah, I'd say, you know, being around some of those veterans over the years, Jake, they've seen a lot of football. They've played a lot of football. They've been in different systems. So I think there's guys that with that amount of turns and with that amount of years in different systems, they can come in and operate pretty quickly. Now, you got to be very intelligent and you got to work like crazy to do it. And I think Joe's done both those things. But I think there's enough similarity to the things that we're doing that he's done in the past, and I think he could lean into that experience.
The fact that the arm looks like this.
Who were you pointing to when you said
the fact that his arm looks like it did when he first stepped in the league. What do you make of that?
Yeah, it's a great gift from God, I guess. You know, he blessed him with that ability.
And all those characteristics you're talking about, does that allow Joe that extra half click to allow plays to develop downfield for routes to get deeper, all those kinds of things?
Yeah, I think the big thing, Tom, is he does have the ability to push the ball down the field and to all areas of the field. So not just the deep ball, but to be able to throw the ball from the right hash all the way outside the left hash. I mean, those are plays that obviously Joe can push the ball down the field.
And Murray was game like you did against Houston. Do you expect the next defense to go above and beyond to try to take him away?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it all when it comes to Amari in terms of attention. You know, you can cloud him, you can rotate a safety over the top in cover two, you can take your post safety and lean to him, you can bracket him. So we've really seen it all. Even on that first play, I mean, it's quarters, he's getting bracketed, but he ran through the bracket. So he gets attention. It doesn't mean that he can't still win, but it does open up opportunities for all the other players.
Murray was talking about this the other day, that he knows that even if Joe's getting dragged down, that doesn't mean the play is over because he has the arm to get it all the way across field, even when he's, you know, almost on his back. So, you know, how does that help you guys? That like it's just never over.
Yeah, I think it's a good point, Mary Kay, because that play in particular, Joe's so big, he's got people draped all over him, but he's hard to bring down and has the arm talent. He doesn't need to step into it. He can let it go with his wrist and still put enough on the ball. So that's again a factor of his ability. But also, you know, we've made plays off schedule. We've made some scramble drill plays, which, as you know, are so important and hard to find sometimes.
Kevin, I hear you say, of course, that you take shots and sometimes it doesn't work. But his ability, how much does that open up the playbook for you?
Yeah, I mean, you know, a lot of the plays we're running, you know, you just continue to run different iterations of things that you've done. But again, like we've talked about before, there's with shot plays, quote unquote, you still have a read. You have a top-down read oftentimes in that regard. So if top guy is open, you give him an opportunity. And then if he's not, you bring the ball down. So there's times where you call them and you may call 10 shots in a game. If they don't give it to you, the look that you're anticipating, or they don't play it a certain way, you're never bored taking a nice completion on a check down.
Been increasingly creative in scoring zone running plays this year. Is it out of necessity you've gone that way, or do you just look at the Chiefs and say they do it pretty good, so let's try it?
Yeah, we hard to copy what Coach Reed does with his guys. No, for us, it's always Tony just trying to find different ways to score. I mean, as you know, you get down there, it's hard. The field dimensions change. It's hard to throw it in. It becomes hard to run it in because you can't block everybody. So I think our coaches do an outstanding job of trying to find little wrinkles or nuance to things and to give your guys a chance. And we're very fortunate in the players that we have down there.
You guys around the league talk about, or on this team, go out and we talk about guys stepping in and talking to them and helping them get ready in the locker room even when they're hurt. For Dustin Hopkins specifically, like what can he do and what conversations can he have with Riley while he's out preparing him to kick in Cleveland in the dog pound on Thursday night?
Yeah, well, that's a good point, Cam, because I think the big thing is kicking in Cleveland's a little bit different than everywhere else. So naturally he can share all the secrets of our stadium and the wind and those type of things. So I think that's extremely helpful to have Dustin here with Riley in that regard. I think we had a couple guys in.
And so clutch for you guys. You would think that if you did make the playoffs, he would be a real weapon for you in that type of setting. Yeah. Are you confident that when you say week to week that if you did make the playoffs, he would be ready to go?
I can't say. I don't know.
Tony asked you about getting creative. Have you ever run as much, I know it's only been a handful, but as much Wildcat as you have, and what about now has made you go to that?
I don't know if I don't know the numbers offhand. I know with Tony Sperano at the Vikings, we ran a bunch of it. God rest his soul. He did a great job. Tony did that in Miami, if you remember. So we did it at the Vikings quite a bit, maybe 2017, 18. Yeah, it's always just sometimes you see things on film where you feel like there might be an opportunity. If we do this, what would their reaction be? But it truly is a week-to-week thing. It's not you have to do a Wildcat or you have to do something special. It's really just based on what you think you're going to get from the defense.
Do you feel just as good about using PJ in some of that spot duty that you did for DTR? And why are you pretty confident with him as your backup?
Yeah, we'll see in terms of the role, like you mentioned, Mary Kay. But yeah, very confident in PJ. He's started games for us, won games for us, come in and won games for us. He knows our system, so very confident.
Some of the guys said they looked at that Jets game last year. Is that on their own, or did you show it to them?
I think you always look at, if you played somebody the week before, you watch that because you want to see how they operated in third down or short yardage, goal line. You always go back and watch it.
Kevin, because you guys had the early bye, and I know these Thursday night games are hard, but is there some benefit, especially for you guys as a coaching staff, that you're going to have 10 days between games and kind of get this mini bye coming up?
Yeah, I think that's always the benefit of the Thursday night game for sure. Is it's so hard to make it. And I say it's hard. I just have to stand on the sideline. These players have to get their bodies ready to go. So it's hard from that perspective. Once you get to Thursday,
30.
A little bit of a breather on the other end. So every team kind of treats that as a mini bye, if you will. And pretty unique to have our bye so early and this one so late, but you're going to use it to your advantage and try to, make sure the guys are getting healthy.
Will you guys kind of do, I know you always do the self-scout at the bye week, will you guys kind of do a condensed version of that, especially with...
Yeah, a little bit of that as you... and you do it really throughout the season. You're already doing that, but you will use that opportunity just to see where you are in the last month or so.
Going on the field today?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski. For a free case review. Elk and Elk, proud partner of the Cleveland Browns. When we come back, we'll reflect back on the Browns' big win over the Houston Texans, what this season has been, and where it hopefully is going, and certainly will go with a win on Thursday night. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet, a sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns, now live in Ohio.
Times are
12 from the 21, out of the gun. Cooper alone to the left, forward to the backfield. Flacco the snap, surveys the field, launching, end zone. It is caught! Touchdown, David Njoku!
Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet, now live in Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland.
Get ready. All right, welcome back to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet, a sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns, now live in Ohio. And don't forget that OBM, the preferred provider of copiers and document services for the Cleveland Browns, who can tackle any size office. Call 216-485-2000 or visit ohiobusinessmachines.com. Your 10-5 Cleveland Browns coming off of that big 36-22 win over the Houston Texans. It's Victory Tuesday here on Cleveland Browns Daily. And folks, we have a huge opportunity on Thursday night. Remember back in 2020, Gibbe? 2020, the last time the Browns punched their ticket to the playoffs, it was in the midst of COVID. There were 12,000 people at the stadium. Jim Donovan gave the iconic call, "The only thing missing is all of you." Well, now the Browns have a chance again on Amazon Thursday Night Football to punch their ticket to the playoffs with a full Cleveland Browns stadium and the eyes of the nation watching. You are the only game in town that night. And so this Cleveland Browns team, which has overcome so much this season, sits at 10-5. You got Joe Flacco facing the Jets team that he was with a year ago, leading an insane come-from-behind victory against the Browns. Now he's the Browns quarterback. He is 3-1, coming off of a historic game in Houston. Flacco throws for 368 yards, 3 touchdowns, becoming only the second Brown in franchise history to throw for 300 yards in 3 straight games. In fact, he now holds the Browns franchise records for most passing yards and passing touchdowns in his first 4 games with the team. And then what can you say about Amari Cooper? The nation's going to get to watch him. 11 catches, 265 yards, 2 touchdowns in the win over the Texans. That is the highest total in a single game in Cleveland Browns franchise history. It's a career high for Amari Cooper, and it's more receiving yards than anybody has had in the NFL this season. So the Browns are cooking right now. Winners of the last couple games take care of business against the Jacksonville Jaguars. You take care of business against the Chicago Bears in dramatic fashion, and you take care of business down in Houston. You've won 3 in a row. You sit at 10-5 with an opportunity to punch your ticket to the playoffs. And think about this. When the Browns take the field Thursday night against the Jets, they will do so without their starting quarterback, their starting running back Nick Chubb, their left tackle, their starting right tackle, their second starting right tackle when DeJuan Jones went down, their kick returner and punt returner, their starting middle linebacker, their starting strong safety, their third pass rusher Obo Okoronkwo, their kicker who has been the best kicker in the NFL. They could also be without their starting free safety Juan Thornhill, who's missed 3 games in a row, and their punter Corey Bojorquez. And yet, new guys step up every single week. The Browns, the most resilient team in the National Football League. Joe Flacco off of his couch into the history books. Kareem Hunt off of his couch has tied his career high in rushing touchdowns this season. Duron Harmon, a 3-time Super Bowl champion with the New England Patriots, signs with the Browns less than a month ago, the day after the birth of his son. And he comes in, has an interception in this game down there in Houston. Za'Darius Smith playing at an unbelievable level. And then you have Myles Garrett, who I think is the defensive player of the year. That's been the stabilizing force, really, has been the defensive front for this Browns team. Myles, so good, 13 sacks. And while the sacks haven't come recently, he has dominated the games behind the line of scrimmage with his pressure, with his tackles for loss. And so you have great corners, elite corners. MJ Emerson, Greg Newsome, Denzel Ward, quite frankly, all 3 could be Pro Bowlers this season, which would be historic. But this is a Browns team that has an opportunity in a whiteout on Thursday night. They're going to be wearing those beautiful white helmets. They're going to get the crowd in there early. We're going to get everybody fired up to punch their ticket to the playoffs. And I know that we were all talking around the holiday tables about maybe the Browns being the number 1 seed, and that took a little bit of a hit last night when the Ravens went into San Francisco and beat the 49ers. But this team, if I would have told you all those things that I just listed were true, that Joe Flacco would be the quarterback of the Cleveland Browns, that we'd be 10-5 with a chance to go to the playoffs on Thursday Night Football against the Jets, you said, I love you, but you're crazy. This is the real story. It's like a movie. That's why we love rooting for this team. That's why they are so fun. The resilience, the belief. They never quit. And it doesn't matter who comes in. There's a standard here that no matter who steps into a major role, they step in and they step up. And we have seen that with this Browns team all season long. But right now, Flacco fever is running wild in this town. I'll tell you what. So I had my buddy Jimmy Bang Bang's nephew made a card for Joe Flacco, thanking him for being the best quarterback ever, giving the kids the best Christmas with the big win on Christmas Eve. And I showed it to Joe, and he goes, "This town's freaking crazy, man. I love it. I love it." Think about it. This guy was the face of the Ravens. He tortured the Browns. Then he tortured them with the Jets last year. And now he is the toast of the town. Flacco fever. People are wacko for Flacco. It's unbelievable. And the fact that he is playing at such a high level, the throws he made in this game, the deep balls to Amari, throwing out of sacks. Remember, he's not supposed to be mobile, bouncing off of sacks, rolling around, making plays. It's just been pure joy. And then you got David Njoku, forged in the fires, literally, for the Cleveland Browns earlier this season. Didn't miss a snap. Did not miss a snap, Gibbe, as you smile over there. And yet he's back 3 straight games with a receiving touchdown. One of the most dominant complete tight ends in the National Football League. So much to like about this team. It so much embodies kind of that blue-collar, hard work, do whatever you can to find a way to win attitude that we love here about the Northeast Ohio region and the great city of Cleveland. So that's what's at stake on Thursday night, a chance to lock in the 2023 playoffs. That's all you can do is get in the dance, right? I talked with Duron Harmon earlier today, the 3-time Super Bowl champion. He said, you have to get in the dance. And then it's a second season, and the Browns are trying to earn their right for that second season with a win at home over the Jets, where the Browns are 7-1 this year. We've been one of the best home teams in the National Football League. Our defense at home, historically good. We need one more of those performances, and the Browns will punch their ticket. All right, coming up, hour number 2, we've got the Hoff Joe Thomas joining us for the Joe Thomas half hour. That's going to be a lot of fun to get to. We're going to take a look at that AFC North and AFC playoff picture as well, and we can do that right now. As you look around the AFC North, I think ultimately it was good what the Steelers did. That was a hard game. You didn't know really who to root for in that one, but the Steelers were able to knock off the Cincinnati Bengals. And so here are the standings right now in the AFC North. You've got the Ravens. They are 12-3. They have clinched a playoff berth. Right now, they look to be the most likely candidate to be the number 1 seed. Now, if they lose both of their games, the Browns win both of theirs, there's an opportunity for the Browns to be that 1 seed and win this division. Browns 10-5, Steelers 8-7, Bengals 8-7 as well. And if you look at the wild card picture in the AFC right now, the 1 seed, the Ravens 2 seed, Dolphins 3 seed, Chiefs 4 seed, the Jags holding on in a 3-way tie there with the Colts and the Texans in the AFC South. The Browns 10-5. The Bills all of a sudden now the 6th team in, and that's a team I don't think a lot of people want to play in the AFC. And number 7 currently, the Indianapolis Colts. And so that's where things sit right now. In Week 17, coming up, you got obviously the Browns and the Jets, Thursday Night Football. Dolphins at Ravens. That's a big one for playoff implications. Titans at Texans. Raiders at Colts. Panthers at Jaguars. So you think about that AFC South. Colts are favored over the Raiders. Texans are favored over the Titans. Jags big favorites over the Panthers. So still,
anybody want to win a game in the AFC South?
Still a lot of drama. Not last week. They certainly did not. Bengals, if you're wondering, are at the Chiefs. Steelers are at the Seahawks. And that is the scene. Those are the stakes. Win, and you are in for the 2023 Cleveland Browns. All right, we'll be back with the Hoff Joe Thomas. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Bally Bet, a sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns, now live in Ohio.
on second and
Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet, now live in Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland.
You guys ready?
Yep.
Yep.
Hour number 2 of a Victory Tuesday edition of Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet, sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns, now live in Ohio. Let Tide Cleaners take care of your laundry and dry cleaning needs this holiday season. Enjoy $10 off of $40 or more all month long with the code BROWNS10. Exclusions do apply. Visit locally owned and operated Tide Cleaners in the greater Cleveland area and make the most of your holidays. Nathan Zagura, soon to be joined by the Hoff, Joe Thomas. You heard Andrew Siciliano on the call down in Houston this week. Jim Donovan back on the call for Thursday night. The Browns and the Steelers. It is going to be Browns and the Jets, I'm sorry. Browns have already beaten the Steelers. That's when Jim made his triumphant return, smashing the guitar. Emotional Gibbe. Emotional me. Emotional everybody.
I was going to say, man.
Everybody. Not a dry eye in the house, Gibbe.
We got to kickoff, and I'm like, I need a drink. This is... It's
well,
been a lot.
You just had to wait till after the game, and then you got
allegedly
a little PB&J.
Boy, those were flowing last night.
Oh, baby.
The Shot Queen got a hold of that kit and was like, well, here we go.
I can't wait to run this by Bo, and I don't know if he's going to think it's blasphemous, but we took our bourbon apple pie on an ice block, a little bit of Screwball in there, so give it a little peanut butter.
Okay.
Apple peanut butter goes together nicely. Oh, baby. It was a hit. Let me tell you. It was an absolute hit. So that was a lot of fun. Ended the Christmas season the way I started it. Little Christmas Vacation on. It's what a film.
It was.
It's just so good.
Normally, I will watch I didn't watch any TV. Like, by the time I got home Sunday night.
Yeah. You guys didn't have football on yesterday?
No, football, but no Christmas movies. Let me put it that way.
I didn't
watch anything. Christmas Eve, I got home, Patriots Broncos was going to overtime.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm watching this now.
I don't like next year I think I'll be, for Christmas itself, I'll enjoy very much the fact that it's a Tuesday, Wednesday, and so there won't be any football.
Well, let's hope.
How are they going to play a game? They can't play a game on Tuesday or Wednesday.
They played on Tuesdays before. You know that, and I know that.
Yeah, that would be
during the
tough one.
COVID era.
Well, that was out of
but
necessity. I would like it very much if there was no game, because you're right. Like, I like to have like a Christmas story on in the background, and there was none of that, but there was fun football. And football is the greatest, so certainly enjoy that.
Yeah, the football yesterday. I mean, watching the Chiefs literally have a meltdown
was wild. Kelsey slamming his helmet. They lose to the Raiders.
Reed shoving Kelsey, like, come on, get it together.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's.
I like it.
You never know what's happening there. Eagles beat the Giants, but they were unimpressive in doing so. And then the Ravens were quite impressive, dominating the 49ers. That's the way that one went around.
Joe's on the phone.
Yes. Pure joy now as we begin the Joe Thomas half hour. I welcome in the Hoff himself. First of all, Hoff, give me the breakdown. How was Christmas? How was the feast? How was the vino? How'd you do?
It was incredible. We had the classic, at least in my family, Christmas dinner. We went with the ham.
Baby.
Honey baked ham. Mama was in charge of that one. We did the cheesy hash browns. I don't know if that's just a Wisconsin thing or if that's international, but the wife does the hash browns. I think it's like sour cream, butter, maybe some garlic, and then some cheese, puts it all in a baking tin, puts it in the oven so you get that like crispy, crunchy goodness cheese on the outside and the edges, and then you get the creamy hash brown on the inside, which was glorious. We had a squash from my farm garden that we baked up, and then the butter, honey. It's just fantastic. Of course, you always got to have mashed potatoes as well. We did some Brussels sprouts in the oven with some bacon bits. That was phenomenal. So just a really nice down the middle, exceptional Christmas. And to top it off, the great Z provided the vino for the event, which was fantastic as always.
Oh, baby.
99 points. Might as well be 100. I'm just going to go
100. Yeah, I was going to say, right?
It tasted like it was 100 out of 100.
I love it. A little Chateau Pape Clement, famous Saint Emilion house in Bordeaux. Love it. I love to hear that. I sent you the video. You saw the video. The prime rib was what it always is. Perfect. Although I think I added 2 new little wrinkles to it this year. The first was...
Oh, tell me.
I did the dry brine with the Penzeys prime rib, and I'd said this on the air to do this, but 48 hours. So it was in the fridge. I put it in the fridge. I got it on Saturday morning and put it in before I went to get on the plane for Houston, and then obviously cooked it on Monday. So it had about 48 hours uncovered with that good rub all over it, and that really created an unbelievable crust on the exterior, and the flavors really penetrated the meat. And then when I did the wet rub with the olive oil, the pressed garlic, the salt, pepper, the rosemary, the thyme, the butcher had tied my bones, but not super tight. So I was actually able to kind of like pull it apart a little bit, and I had one of my, the butcher gloves on, those black gloves, and kind of was just like sopping up the stuff. And then I was able to really rub the underbelly of the meat in between the bones and the bottom side of the rib roast, so that it actually, the middle was so flavorful too. It was incredible, and it turned out to be just, people thought it was the best ever. I mean, I feel like you're always a prisoner of the moment in those situations, but I think it may have been. It may have been the best ever.
Well, the photos made it look like it was probably the best ever. Yeah. Certainly, it's never been exceeded, but there may be some imposters out there that were just as good throughout history, of course. But, I was definitely really jealous. And I'm curious, after you said you did the 48-hour uncovered dry brine, is there a limit to how long you can leave it uncovered to continue to improve that crust?
I think 48 is gains? I don't think you want to go much beyond 48 is what I was reading. They say is kind of the sweet spot, but you don't want to be going, I don't 51 might be pushing it off. I don't know. Who's to say?
Yeah. So
48 is all you need, though, for sure.
Well, certainly it was a 10 out of 10. So
baby.
I don't know how you get any better than that. But the guy who did my Hall of Fame bust sculpting was a big smoked meat guy out in Utah. His name is Ben Hammond. He's fantastic, one of the best sculptors in North America.
He did a great job.
And he told me did a great job. I was very, very pleased with the results. But he does a brisket where he does a 1 week dry brine like that to really get that crust on the outside. He leaves it in his fridge, and he's like, when it starts smelling like it smells like it's gone too far, he's like, that's when you know it's just perfect. And he says that's his brisket secret. I haven't had the courage yet to try out my brisket, but I was thinking about it when you were telling me about how you did your prime rib.
When it starts smelling like it's going rotten, that's because it is. That doesn't just happen.
Never know.
You never know. Wow, that's intense. That's intense. I didn't see that one coming. All right, let's just talk about for a second now. How we talked about pure joy of food. We're pure joy. We're going to get to see each other on Thursday. I'm pumped about that for the Browns and the Jets, and it's the 10-5 Browns because of what went down in Houston, 36-22. 2 questions for you. First, have you ever been a part of a game where you were blowing a team out so bad that all the starters come out, helmets off, they're standing around having the time of their lives, and then all of a sudden they have to go back into the game? Has that ever happened to you?
It has never happened to me. Because
I know you had 10,363.
My life. Yeah.
And you would have refused.
One time in my career. Yeah, I refused it.
Yeah.
However, there have been times in the preseason where you come out of the game and then all of a sudden, injury or whatever happens where they're going, you got to go back in the game. And that is a nerve-wracking moment because, as you know, like when you're getting your mind ready to go play an NFL game, it's serious, like to the point where my friends and family, they knew that they didn't want to talk to me. Like I didn't want to talk to them. I wasn't calling the wife the day of the game. I wasn't talking to friends. Like I was very focused. Yeah. And I think that's how a lot of people approach the game. And then, you go through the first part of the game, and it's obviously physically and mentally exhausting. And once you kind of check out of that focused in the zone moment, it's really hard to just put that switch back on. And so that's like a nightmare scenario where all of a sudden you're going, holy crap, I got to go back in. And not only do I have to play, but like the game's on the line. I got to be at my best at a moment's notice. And that's why I always felt bad for those quarterbacks that were, sitting on the sideline. They hadn't played all year. And all of a sudden, week 12, fourth quarter, your starter gets banged up and they got to go in there cold and lead the team down there for a touchdown drive. So definitely some nervous moments on the sideline, but all was well because the result turned out in the Browns' favor.
Yeah, it was 36-7 with just over 6 minutes to go in this one, Hoff, and you thought you were just cruising. Then all of a sudden, touchdown, onside kick, touchdown. You're like, whoa, hold on a second. What's going on here? Now, if there was a silver lining, it's that Amari Cooper got to come back in the game, catch one more pass, and set the Browns' all-time single-game record. Excuse me, with 265 receiving yards. What can you say about what Amari Cooper did in this one and what Joe Flacco has done now is seemingly every single week?
All you can say is pure joy, right?
Pure joy.
So improbable, and you could tell the improbability of the outcome that we've seen since Joe Flacco has come and become the Browns' savior. It was written all over Flacco's face when he was on the sideline. I mean, just happy, just surprised. I mean, he was ready for this moment. He stayed ready. He didn't have to get ready when the Browns called him because he always felt like he had plenty left in the tank. But I think still what happened there on Sunday, even it surprised him a little bit because it was like every time he dialed up number 2, Amari came up with some incredible catch, contested catch down the sideline, beautiful route running, just so smooth, so fun. And the connection that those guys have, it's just so great to watch, right? Because we all knew how great Amari Cooper was when he came here, and he's had some great moments. Obviously, first receiver in Browns history to go back-to-back 1,000-yard receiving seasons, was able to go over that mark. But then to break Josh Gordon's Browns single-game receiving yards record, R.I.P. Josh Gordon, memory in Cleveland. Unfortunately, that was like the last thing we think about with Josh Gordon.
Yes, he is alive, folks. He is alive, yes.
He is still alive. But his record is
time
no
in
longer.
Cleveland. Yeah.
But it was just a really fun moment, and you could just see how much joy those guys were having on the sideline, and how much Flacco was just probably reflecting in those moments of like where he was a month ago, and then where he is right now as the quarterback of the team of destiny.
It feels like a team of destiny. He is the most popular man in town by a wide margin right now. It's Flacco fever is legitimately running wild. We talked in that game against Chicago how good that throw was in the hole in between the 3 defenders to Amari for the touchdown. What about the throw on 4th down? And even he had to laugh about it after the game. Huff, he's getting sacked from behind, falling forward with his body going to the ground. He's getting hit he's about to get hit from the front as well. And he doesn't just throw like a guy right in front of him. He throws an out to the sideline. Actually, it's a comeback where he throws Amari open in a window as big as a ball that if he doesn't get the ball there, it's going to be a pick 6. That throw to me was one of the most incredible, insane things I've ever seen in my life. What did you think of that one?
Well, the thing that screamed in my head was confidence. And Joe Flacco has never lost confidence in himself, and he's never lost confidence in his big arm. And that's why I always love big quarterbacks, especially as they get older, because it seems like that arm strength and that ability to escape or at least hold on as they're being sacked to get one more pass in is unmatched. And smaller quarterbacks just don't have that. And I think for Flacco, he's a big guy. They talked about it a bunch on the broadcast. I know you're not listening to the broadcast, but Iron Eagle Charles Davis did a great job again, and just talking about how big Flacco is and how difficult he is to bring to the ground. And I think a guy that maybe doesn't have the confidence that Flacco has would never even attempt that throw because it's a risky throw. When you're throwing anything to the sideline, come back, it's one of the more difficult routes that quarterbacks throw. It's one of the things that a lot of times when you're evaluating quarterbacks, can they play in the NFL? Hey, can you throw that comeback route on time? Because the windows are so small in the NFL. And then talk about off balance with a guy draped all over you, throwing to the sideline in a tight window and being able to, one, let it rip and feel good about it, and then to hit the ball exactly where in your mind when you close your eyes it was supposed to go, putting it there. Like, those are the things that only happen when you're the team of destiny. I mean, that's all I can say. January Joe Flacco to Amari Cooper.
Elite.
Just put a smile on everybody's face.
Elite. Guys, elite. Oh, man. The throw The throw to Chief on the little like stick and go, the stick and nod in the middle of the field when they had the middle of the field open, the two deep safeties to put it in the window that he put that one in. And that one he threw completely flat-footed about 30 yards on a rope. I mean, it's just it's awesome to see. This has been so fun. You say team of destiny, team of joy, all of those things are so apropos. This Browns team is special. It's got a very special feel to it, and for a very good reason, because they have done things that have been incredible week in, week out. Now, one question coming out of this one, we'll talk about special teams in a second, but Hoff, it feels like we can't run the ball. And we're throwing because we need to, and quite frankly, we're very good at it right now with Joe Flacco. But we cannot run the football, and it's been a couple of weeks now where we're around 2 yards a carry. We have the lowest yards per carry in the league over the last 3 games by a wide margin.
Well, that was one of the things we said when Flacco first came in there. So, well, we're still running the ball pretty well, even though we lost Nick Chubb. We're finding a way. But I think the decimation of our roster, especially at the tackle position, is starting to eat away at the run game a little bit. We've got it when we need it in some of those short yardage situations, and I think that's a credit to the creative run schemes that Stefanski's putting together, but also Kareem Hunt's a really good short yardage back, and that helps. And then having the ability to bring in DTR in some of those situations and give defenses looks that they haven't seen, which gives you the advantage, right? Because you have a split second where they're not exactly sure what they're looking at, right? When I think back to my first few years in the NFL, everyone was running a lot of 21 personnel, right? It's 2 backs and a tight end, and you had all kind of the same run concepts. You had power, you had counter, you had the lead to the weak side where your fullback leads on that front side linebacker, and it's an inside zone. Like, all the run concepts were pretty similar. And then there was a couple teams like the Shanahans that were running the outside zone. But for the most part, if I'm a linebacker, I used to talk to DeQuell Jackson about this. He was like, as soon as you guys lined up in that formation and you would start your motion, he was like, I knew exactly what was coming, and I knew the gap that I had to get to, and so I was beating you guys to the spot. Well, they don't have that advantage when they're looking at a formation and a personnel grouping they haven't seen. And so they're going to be a little slower. And I think Stefanski has used that to our advantage. And Kareem Hunt is really tough to tackle in a phone booth when he only needs a yard or two. But they need to be able to find a way to get some normal down and distance, 4, 5, 6 yard clips, because as much as we expect and hope that January Joe continues this elite trajectory throwing the football to Amari Cooper, like, we're going to play the Jets on Thursday night, and Robert Saleh is a very good defensive coordinator. Like,
yes,
they're going to be ready, and they're going to try to take away Amari. And I think that's where Njoku has played a huge role for us in the middle of the field, because if you do double or you try to roll safeties to Amari, it does open up things in the middle of the field to Njoku. But there's ways to take away 2 guys as well, and they're going to just sit back in coverage and try to force you to run the football a little bit. And so finding ways to be productive, especially when you do have numbers or a light box where you do have a hat for a hat, I think is going to be really important if we do want to make any type of a playoff run.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right about that. Talking with the Hoff, Joe Thomas. It's the Joe Thomas half hour here on Cleveland Browns Daily. All right, Hoff, game ball time. One on offense. Who are you giving your game ball to?
Well, if I don't give it to Amari Cooper, I feel like I should be fired on the spot. But I'll take Amari because he set the franchise record for receiving yards in a game, and I'll leave the other low-hanging fruit to you, Big Z.
Yeah, it's nice. 2 people, very easy. Amari Cooper, Hoff's game ball, mine, January Joe Flacco, 368 yards, 3 touchdowns in this one. He was spectacular. All right, on defense, game ball, defensive game ball from you.
I'm going to go with Greg Newsome. It was fun watching him. The first time he did his little celebration, which I'm not exactly sure what the name of it is yet, but, the few times that he's been challenged, he's been fantastic.
Yeah.
Like, he's been that lockdown corner that we've been talking about for a long time, and a big impetus why this team has been not only competitive, but right there at the top of the AFC is because of this great defense, which starts with the coverage in the back end and then the pass rush that we can provide up front. And when you've got 2 great corners in Denzel Ward and Greg Newsome, and then you've got a host of other fast, speedy guys that can cover underneath, it makes it really difficult. There's just not a lot of holes to throw to. And I think being able to lock up number 1 and number 2 receiver from the other teams when you're going to be playing some of these top teams in the AFC in the playoffs, I think is going to be huge. And I loved what I saw from Greg Newsome, not only with his coverage, but his confidence, his swag that seems to be infectious within that Browns defense.
Yeah, and quite frankly, I think we have the best three corners. We can take anybody's 1, 2, and 3. MJ Emerson playing at an unbelievably elite level as well. So I like that. Greg Newsome, my defensive game ball is going to go to Zadarius Smith, the veteran. 2 sacks, hit the arm of Keenum on the interception for Duron Harmon. He was around the quarterback all game long, dominant against the run. That was kind of what I think when we brought in Zadarius, that's what we were expecting. And he had been around the quarterback a lot. He was second in pressures, second in hits on the team, and his numbers weren't that far behind Miles. But this was the first game where he kind of blew up. 2 sacks, a turnover, really had 3 sacks. And I thought that was the Zadarius. And we get, Miles and Zadarius going, Hoff. We're tough to deal with.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think it's not like Zadarius was getting criticism, but I think there was some question marks. We brought him here. We thought he'd have more sacks. And as you get older, you lose just a little bit of that closing speed once you beat your blocker to be able to get to the quarterback. And so he's there. He's been affecting the game. He's been affecting the throw a bunch. So he's had a great impact to this defense. Just hasn't been able to seal the deal. And it was so fun to be able to watch him with the joy on his face, getting some of those sacks, getting that production that I think some of the fans that maybe just check the stats at the end of the game have been looking for. And to your point, I texted because me and Jack were watching the game like we always do, sitting on the couch and seeing Zadarius with the Santa celebration made me laugh. And I just loved it because at first when he did it looked like, he's army crawling, and then Jack goes, he's doing a Santa celebration. I go, he did, because he was climbing down the chimney, and then he was eating the cookies, and then he was rubbing his belly. I thought it was awesome. And I think it's so cool when these guys, they're ready for that big moment, and then they're able to celebrate, get their teammates fired up, get the guys fired up on the sideline. And Zadarius has been much beloved in that defensive meeting room since he got here. He's been, one of the old heads, but guys talk about, what a great personality he has. And when you make a play like that and then you're able to celebrate and get guys fired up and get an old guy and his son fired up back in Madison, Wisconsin, that's pure joy, deserving of a game ball for sure.
It is. Love it. Zadarius there. Now, if there's one thing that we didn't do well in this game, Hoff, special teams. And we let a kick go back to the house up 14-0 when their offense couldn't do anything. But it was more than just allowing a kick, because on that play, Dustin Hopkins gets hurt. That forces Corey Bojorquez to kick off. He gets hurt on kickoffs. The Browns might now have a new kicker and a new punter. Our kicker has been the best kicker in the National Football League. Our punter has been elite in his ability to change field position, flip the field, and really hit some bombs. So this was, and not only that, special teams also allowed an onside recovery in this game. So I know Bubba Ventrone, your former teammate, he is going to make sure that all gets cleaned up there. But you're happy these things happened and you still won, but as we get further along the season, either one of those things happening, an onside kick or a kick return for a touchdown, could be the difference between advancing your season, going closer to the Lombardi, or going home.
Yeah, that was not a lot of fun. That was not joy. That was the low of my day there. We always go around the table at the end of the day with the kids and talk about our highs and lows. And for me, watching our kicker sprint down the field and show speed, which I've been in that mindset a few times, chasing down interceptions, and you're thinking, I can catch this guy, I can impress the team and everybody back home with how fast he is. But then when I was watching Dustin running, I'm going, man, he's looking fast, but he doesn't run very much usually, and so this could not be good for the soft tissue. And sure enough, as soon as that was over, even though he didn't pull up lame, like, sometimes you see guys when they really pop a hamstring, I'm going, man, his hammies are just not ready to be running 70 yards at that speed, because you're kind of getting ahead of your skis a little bit. And then as you slow down, everybody knows that's pulled a hamstring. It usually happens when you try to start slowing down because it's that eccentric lengthening of the hamstring that makes him go. And so I was really nervous even before I heard that he did hurt his hamstring. Hopefully it's not too bad. I saw we did sign a kicker to the practice squad either today or yesterday. And it's definitely a concern because he's been such a weapon. I think Myles Garrett said it a few weeks ago. He's like, he's the best player on the team. Now, that was hyperbole, obviously, because Myles Garrett is the best player on the team. But Dustin has been incredibly
He's been the best kicker in the NFL.
And when you're going to make best kicker in the NFL, when you're going to make a run through the playoffs, you're going to have to make a kick at the end of the half or at the end of the game to win the game. And it's going to come down to somebody's right foot.
Yep.
And we felt pretty good with Dustin, so you hope that he'll be able to come back. But it definitely makes you nervous, especially when you combine that with a punter who has been fantastic. Bojorquez has been unbelievable for the Browns. Now he's down. You're going, to replace both specialists at this point in a season is not exactly ideal.
And it's the operation. You're going to have a whole new kicking operation, a new holder if Bojorquez isn't able to go, and a new kicker. And so those are people who likely have not worked together before, certainly not worked with Charlie Hewlett. And so this could be a big thing here on a short week against the Jets. Speaking of the short week, how do you kind of get your body and mind right when it's a short week to begin with? You know what's at stake, right? You have a chance to clinch for the playoffs. And then, Christmas was on the Monday of the short week. How do you deal with that as a player?
Yeah, it's really tough. And I watched the Chiefs game on Christmas Day, and it just looked like the Chiefs, they were not really into it mentally. Like, they just made so many mistakes. Even Patrick Mahomes, guy that you rarely see make boneheaded decisions. I mean, it's throwing out routes, comebacks to the sideline late, getting picked off. And when you throw the Christmas distraction in there, as much as you don't want it to be a distraction, it is. I mean, you got family and friends in town, people that have kids. Like, you want it to be special for them, but you also don't want to you don't want to lose focus on what is at stake for your team. But it's hard to kind of balance that. And I think when we used to play Thursday games, the preparation for that Thursday started the second you landed Sunday night for this team from Houston. I mean, when I was playing, we would go into the cryo chamber right off the airport, right as soon as we landed, and start trying to get your body recovered. Certainly coming in, even if it's Christmas Day, maybe you come in later in the day, you're doing as much recovery as you possibly can. You're getting massage, you're getting hot, cold, ice tub, hot tub contrast to try to get that body to recover. You're doing some zone 2 cardio, whether it just be walking on a treadmill, or if your knees are too swollen, maybe you're just riding the bike, just trying to get that blood flow as much as you can. It's a mental week, but you got to try to find a way to get your body ready and get your body healed, but also knowing that, hey, we'll sacrifice a little bit. Playing on a Thursday, you don't have the free time. Your body's not going to feel so good, but hopefully having that little mini bye Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, getting an opportunity to get ready for a big stretch. Now that it looks like the Browns probably won't be able to get a bye in the first round of the playoffs, and so they'll be playing. But I think it'll be an advantage if they're able to get through this Thursday and get the win against the Jets, having that little bit of a break before they make a playoff run.
Hoff, Thursday night football, national TV. The Browns, who are 7-1 at home, have a chance to clinch a playoff berth. You are going to be in the house. You're going to be on the national radio call. I'm going to be in the house on our call with the great Jim Donovan. I can't wait. But how special of a night do you think this could be in this city, given that the last time we punched our ticket to the playoffs, there were 12,000 people in attendance. It was the middle of COVID. I just think it could be nuts. And I want everybody in the stadium early, but pace yourselves during the day. Water will be your friend. You've got to get to the game, folks. Remember that. You got to be able to make it into the game.
Z, I think you're painting a beautiful picture, and it's the only advice I can have for fans is my sister just had twins last summer, and we went to the Morgan Wallen concert in the spring at Miller Park in Milwaukee, and it was her coming out party, right? First time she's going to go back out after having twins, having a great time. She's 30. She's 8 years younger than me.
Yeah.
And, we start tailgating at noon for an 8 o'clock concert.
Oh,
and I told her, I said, Jess, being the big brother, I'm like, hey, you haven't been out in a long time.
Right.
Like,
pace yourself.
You got to have a little bit of a governor, especially early on. Beer, water. It's your friend. Don't be afraid. Don't feel like the bus is leaving you if you're sipping on some waters and some seltzer waters early on, because the big show's happening at 8 o'clock tonight. Of course, what happened? She was lights out at 7:30 before Morgan Wallen even comes on stage. So, Browns fans, take the advice and learn from the mistakes of my sister, Jesse Thomas. You can start early, but don't go hard early, because I don't want you going home before 8 o'clock, because we need you.
Yes.
It's going to be an incredibly electric atmosphere. I'm so excited to be there. And the biggest challenge for me, the biggest stressor that I have going into this game is doing the national show. I'm supposed to be a little bit unbiased. I don't know
Good
how
luck.
I'm not going to be
Good
coming
luck.
unglued coming out of that radio booth.
Good luck.
With the Browns, and that stadium is rocking, my friend.
Are you with Ian again?
Yep. Yeah, it's me and Ian.
Yeah, tell Ian, say sorry, brother. You're gonna have to put your Browns hat on tonight. This is gonna be a celebration in this town. Gonna be a celebration. All right, Hoff, Go ahead.
No, I was just say, thankfully, it's not on TV, so I'll be fully decked out in Browns gear, and nobody on the national broadcast will have any idea.
That's right. There'll be none the wiser. All right, Hoff, real quick, we'll get you out of here on this one. How do you kind of see really the league right now, AFC, NFC, the Ravens just go and smash the Niners. The Chiefs look to be in a little bit of chaos. The way this playoff picture is setting up, do you agree that it feels like the Niners probably still might be the best team? The Bills feel dangerous right now, but it does feel like if you get into the dance, you've got a chance to go all the way because there isn't a super team right now.
You're exactly right. The playoffs, to me, has always been about matchups, right? It seems like, first and foremost, how do you match up in the playoffs? Because, just because you have the best record or the best seeding doesn't always mean that you're going to win the games in the playoffs because, hey, we got a great rushing attack. We're playing on grass, bad conditions. All of a sudden, you can steal one from somebody who's maybe not used to playing in those conditions or more of a passing attack. Or maybe you've got, like the Browns, great secondary. You go up against a team that likes to throw the football. You can lock down their pass catchers. And you can pull upsets in those. Also, I think the second most important thing going in the playoffs is momentum, is hot streaks that you're on, and certainly the Browns, the Ravens. I think even from an unbiased perspective, those are probably the two best teams right now in the AFC, with the Bills, just a little bit behind. And I mean, it's anybody's game, right? And that's what I love about the NFL playoffs. Right? A lot of times you say, okay, well, this team's really hot. They got great quarterbacks, especially a couple of years ago when the Chiefs were really rolling. You're like, all right, I don't know who's going to beat the Chiefs, but this year you get in the dance, you got a chance. And I feel really good, and I think that's part of the reason that Thursday is going to be so rocking because I think Browns fans feel it. They understand how good this defense is, how great this offense has been playing with Joe Flacco, and just the momentum and the confidence that this team is playing with, that they can beat anybody.
Hoff, begin your training now. Right now. Get off the phone, begin the training, have some Hoff's beef, start building that muscle, forging that flame, because we might need you to fly back in from Germany when this thing gets serious.
I started my training on December 23rd when I ate my first Christmas dinner, and then the 24th when we ate our second Christmas dinner, and it's just been rolling. There's been not a single night that didn't end with at least 7 or 8 different Christmas cookies before bed. So I'm about halfway back up to my playing weight. So give me another couple weeks of Christmas meals every night, and I think I'll be over 300 by January 8th.
Yes, this is what we need. This is the content we need. Hoff, can't wait to see you. Thanks for the time, as always, today. And this is going to be, hopefully, an absolute blast in Cleveland on Thursday night.
Love you, buddy. Cannot wait to see you on Thursday. It's going to be an atmosphere that I don't know if I've ever experienced at Cleveland Browns Stadium, and I cannot wait for it, man. It's going to be amazing.
The same. Much love to the Hoff. Let the training commence. We'll be back with more Cleveland Browns Daily, but first, Rumpke Waste and Recycling is a great place to start and build a career. Check out the latest opportunities to join the team that's working together to keep your community clean and green. Learn more at www.rumpke.com. When we come back, you heard the Hoff talking about him. January Joe Flacco. We've got him at the podium from earlier today.
We rally around.
Hanneman takes the shotgun snap, back to throw, has time, ball deflected up in the air, and it is intercepted! J.O.K. has it for the Browns, and he's down to the Houston 41!
Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet, now live in Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland.
You guys ready?
Yep.
Yep.
The Rolling Stones Hackney Diamonds Tour will be at Cleveland Browns Stadium on Saturday, June 15th. Tickets on sale now. Visit clevelandbrownsstadium.com/Rolling Stones for more information. Here's Joe Flacco at the podium.
Joe, how excited are you for the opportunity to clinch a playoff?
You guys done?
On Thursday.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we talked about it a little bit after the game this past week. It seems like every week, you know, you look at the game and you're like, man, this is a big one. This is a big one, and it's just another one of those. I think we just, once again, we can worry about that when the game's all said and done, but just go out there and focus on winning.
You've been through a lot of big games the course of your career, but is it even for you a little bit surreal that, 2 months ago you didn't have a team and now you got a chance to clinch a playoff spot in a couple days?
I guess to a certain extent, but when you come back out here and you kind of get with everybody and you start playing games, you kind of fall right back into feeling like you've been doing this for a while. So at this point, it feels pretty good to just be back out there and all that.
Joe, your big story in New York this week. What are your feelings about the Jets and them not calling you back when you were waiting at home?
Listen, man, there's all kinds of things that happen throughout the course of a season and an off season and things like that. And I enjoyed my time while I was there, and it is what it is. I'm happy to be where I am, that's for sure. Listen, there's 32 teams in the NFL. They're just another one of those teams. I got a lot of guys over there I really respect and had an awesome few years with in that locker room. So a lot of respect for those guys.
Joe, what's been the most kind of surreal moment over the course of the last month or so as you've kind of gone through this whole thing? The moment where maybe it left you shaking your head the most. Yeah,
listen, I think to a certain extent you can look at the whole thing and do that if you want to. But like I said, I think when you're in the moment, you just kind of fall back into, another season, another locker room, and going out there and playing football. And when you're on the field on Sundays and you're playing football, you can find, you can feel like you're at home. So that stuff kind of goes away. And like I said, I'm not really thinking about all that stuff at this point. If I wanted to, like I said, it could probably be all of it. But, at this point, it's just go out there and play and, try to make it as normal as possible.
You made a comment after the game Sunday that at least now that you're playing, you could watch games, whereas when you weren't playing, you were kind of better about not playing. So didn't it cross your mind how many times that the Jets didn't call you, considering what they went through in the fourth place?
No, not really. The only reason it crossed my mind is because people ask me, hey, are the Jets going to call you? Like as soon as something happens, like all your buddies and everybody like that. But other than that, no, it really hasn't.
What's the most challenging aspect of having the quick turnaround, being on the road in Houston, and you got to come back and play on Thursday night?
I think always when you're talking about these Thursday games, it's going to be the physicality of it. Maybe not for the quarterback necessarily, but when you're talking about football, you're talking about playing a really physical game, and that's the most important thing when it comes down to it in terms of winning games is the battles in the trenches. So I think that's always the number one thing that you talk about when you talk about these games.
Now that, go ahead.
What about the fact that you guys still have an opportunity to win the AFC North? And you've been through a lot of really heated AFC North battles. I know it's not going to be easy, but it's still there for you.
Yeah, I don't think that's something that we can think about. Kevin's really big on 1-0, and all that other stuff kind of falls into place. You just got to go out there and take care of business on the field, and then when the dust settles, you look up and see where you are. But it's really not that important.
Now that you've had a month, how do you feel physically compared to say like a decade ago? Your arm, just your body. Is it really a turn back the clock situation?
Listen, quarterback is like a week-to-week thing in terms of how you feel physically. Some weeks you can be sore into Wednesday and Thursday, and other weeks you can feel great on Monday and Tuesday. I still feel like my body responds pretty well. I'm probably a little bit unrealistic in that. Maybe I don't quite remember being 25 years old anymore. But there's so many tools that we have available today, and people are so much more just aware generally of how to kind of keep your body in shape and the way it should be, and then react to these kind of things the way it should be. So I feel really good about where my body is, but these guys have also done a great job of protecting me, so that's been great.
What was your Christmas like?
What's that?
What was your Christmas like with the family?
Oh, it was great. I mean, I think I slept until like 7:30 and got a call from my wife, because they were still back home, and they did the whole Christmas morning thing, and I kind of was sitting there on the table on FaceTime, and they weren't paying any attention to me. So, I hung out for a little bit, but then I was like, all right, I'll talk to you later. Get me off of this thing. Let them have fun. And then they flew out yesterday afternoon. So like yesterday evening they got here, and
They get a lot of Browns gear.
they got some Browns gear. They came in with some. They got some more. They're all loaded up. That's for sure.
Joe, have these 5 weeks gone faster? Does it feel like a long time ago that you showed up here, not knowing what was going to happen?
Time flies, man. Weeks like don't even exist anymore. The months barely do. You look up and it's like, I mean, shoot, man, it's almost 2024 here. A couple more days and we're looking at that. So time flies. It goes quick.
Hey, Joe, when you got here, obviously your confidence was high that you could still play. Maybe your expectations were a little tempered. I don't know. Has this been beyond what you even expected in terms of your production and how well things have gone?
You could probably say that, just in terms of like, you think you're coming into a good situation with a good team and there's a possibility for this, but you never quite know. It's up to you and your teammates to go out there and do that. And I think that this has been, what I've probably noticed is that you assume, you kind of from the outside think this is a pretty good situation, but when you get here, it's an even better situation than you could have imagined. So.
You've won so many games here as a visitor. So you haven't seen this home crowd celebrate that often. So what do you think it could be like Thursday night with a chance to clinch those playoffs?
I haven't really thought about it, to be honest with you, how they would kind of take it in. But it could definitely be a really cool moment. We just have to go out there and make it happen on Thursday.
Can I ask you about that game last year?
Last year? Yeah.
You said sorry.
Yeah.
One of the most memorable games of your
Yeah, definitely the craziest finish, and therefore pretty damn memorable. I mean, listen, there was like a 99.9% chance in that game. I mean, you kind of feel like you're out of it. I mean, in one respect, it is so memorable just because of that, and the other side of it, you're kind of thinking, man, that's just so random. Like, how lucky did we get? There's so many things that have to happen there. So, you see it every week. No matter what, these games tend to come down to the last couple minutes, and that was just another one of those.
Why does the connection with Amari just work so well for you?
I mean, I've said it a million times. He's an unbelievable player, and I think that's as simple as of an answer as it can be, and it's just the truth. He's really good, and he makes it go.
Joe, back to physically how you feel in terms of the arm strength and how the passes are coming out. How would you compare that now to, say, your rookie year 10 years ago? Does it feel like the same?
Yeah, listen, you hate to try to talk about yourself in a somewhat positive light, but my arm feels great. I think I don't know if I can throw the ball quite as far as I did back then, probably because I don't take time out of my day to work on throwing the ball, as far as I can anymore. But in terms of arm strength and, just on the intermediate routes and all those types of things, and keeping my arm in shape, I think that's the biggest thing. I feel the same as I always have.
I'm sorry.
You're good. You're good.
The Christmas party I went to, everybody was talking about Joe Flacco. Have you gotten a sense of how you kind of captured this town in such a short time?
The city's been unbelievable. I mean, I can't say enough about how welcoming everybody has been. Especially, that is the one strange part, I would say. Not necessarily putting on the uniform and playing, but just coming from Baltimore for most of my career and just seeing everybody out in your regular part of your day and how welcoming the city's been. Back to the surreal thing, that would probably be a good answer for that. It has definitely been a little bit surreal in terms of how people have treated me around here. that stuff always feels good, you know. So hopefully we can keep it going for them.
Did you happen to
Just got more.
watch the Baltimore game last night, and just how good is that team, and what was running through your mind when you watched it?
I just watched a few plays. My boys were in there. We let them watch the first half. Dude, they're always there, man. They're great organization, really well coached, a ton of talent, and they make sure they bring the right guys in that are going to fight for 60 minutes. They're going to be able to deal with adversity. You know, you could talk those guys up forever. They're just a really good football team. That's why they're in it every single year. And when they're really rolling, they get better as the year goes on. They get more physical and all those things. So standard stuff, I think, for those guys. I think they should be excited where they are for sure.
Joe, going into this game on Thursday, I know obviously rosters change.
30.
Your experience with the Jets going against their defense during practice, does that help at all in this scenario?
You know, you kind of have that in the back of your mind. Does it help? Does it hurt? They're probably thinking it helps them. Maybe I'm thinking it helps me. Who knows? You know, you're running a slightly different offense. They're a whole nother year evolved into what they really feel like they do well.
10.
So I think at the end of the day, once you kind of cross over the white on game day, that's really what matters. So all that kind of other stuff goes aside.
You're up.
Join Ken Carman and Gerard Cherry tonight for the Browns preview show on the University Hospital's Cleveland Browns Radio Network. Defensive end Alex Wright and the voice of the Browns, Jim Donovan. Join the guys tonight, as we get you ready for a Thursday night football and the Jets. Real quick, some news from the Jets. Zach Wilson is out. Trevor Siemian will start at quarterback. Kicker Greg Zuerlein might be out. He is dealing with a quad injury. The next level is next. Thanks for joining us on this Victory Tuesday edition of Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Bally Bet.
You guys are done.